Yo, okay, let me check. Oh, I'm realizing I didn't do a couple of things before starting the stream. Okay, I think y'all can hear me. That's good. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, you're not going to know. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me or not. But there you go. That's where we're at. Press record. Forgot to set up the recording file. Just doing that real quick. I'll just take me a second. What is it, the 25th? Ooh, 9/25/25. File naming conventions, very important. Everybody out there, especially if you're looking to do podcasts or something like that. Here's a big tip from your best buddy Basil. Start with good file naming conventions early and stick with it. All right? None of this final draft, copy one and put it in some random folder on your desktop, okay? Pick a file convention, naming convention, stick with it. It'll make your life much easier, not just in the short term and not just in the long term, but in the both term. This is part of, there's a lesson here. There's a spiritual lesson here, much like on the last Canary Cry Clubhouse, we discussed how the eternal life that we are afforded as believers is not two separate lives. We don't get this life and then a totally separate life when the time comes. No, we are currently right smack dab in the middle of our eternal life. Do a little test there. That sounds good. And so when we pick up good habits, doesn't matter what the habit is, could be working out, could be eating good food, could be most importantly, picking a solid, simple, memorable file naming convention for your ongoing digital content creation life will both bring you rewards in this life and the next. Oh, I see. Let me do this. Turn on the comments on the page. There you go. People's comments should be showing up there. Okay, here we go, folks. Thanks for being here. You're listening to Canary Cry Clubhouse. This is the pre-show. We're just taking a second, saying hi to one another before we get deep into the show. Some of it, this shirt feels like it shrank a little bit, but it is what it is. Go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com, get your own. This is the necro-capitalism shirt. It's an old school one. Unless you're kind of an old school Canarian, you might not get the reference, but here we are. Okay, I'm going to officially start the show here in a moment because I don't know. You guys know what's going on already. I don't have a whole lot else to say. And anything I have to say, I'm going to need to say to the podcast people also, because this little pre-show, it doesn't make it onto the podcast version, okay? It gets the secret behind the scenes. All right. So the file, okay, we're recording. We got good file naming conventions. We got our spiritual metaphor for that. We've got people in the chat. We got Roy's here. Dr. Who Done Dat? What's up? Good to see you here, buddy. Jane's here. Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman is here. Nigel's here. Sylvia's here. Caretaker Dan. Okay, we got the whole gang. And I think it's time to start the show. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to play the jingle. Then we're going to start. Here we go. Everybody hold on tight.
Called it. We got a caller. We got a caller on the line here.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, your best buddy, Basil, and you are here listening to Canary Cry Clubhouse, the show where we just come together. This is not about dissecting the evil plans of the dark spiritual forces that rule this world. No, although that does often happen. That just happens to be sort of our default way of doing things around here. And so that'll probably happen. But We're here to come together as a Canary Cry family. If you're new, if for some strange reason you're finding yourself here on this stream or this video playback and you don't know what we're talking about, stick around. It's great. You're part of the family now. This is how it happens, how it works. Big shout out to everybody who's over on the Canary Cry text message alert system. If you're not on it, get on it now. You know how it works, folks. Take out your phone, text the word canary to 877-740-3226. It's easy. You gotta send the word canary, Canary, to 877-740-3226. Do it now if you haven't done it, because that's a great way to make sure you never miss a show. Look, we've gone through this before. We know Google has come out and they're talking, we're so sorry that the Biden administration made us censor everybody, made us cancel their channels, made us shadow ban them. We're so sorry. We had no control. It was all Biden's fault. Whatever. We know it's the truth. And this is kind of the frustrating part about being on the edge like we are. On one hand, you'd think it would be vindicating that every single thing that we've ever talked about, predicted, spotted, or theorized about ends up coming true, and is not coming true, is true at the time that we're talking about it. And instead, we're meant to live in the shadows, and that's okay. If that's what God wants for us here, we're here to live in the shadows. But we still, even though we got some channels back, we still are not on their good side. We think that's for spiritual reasons instead of conspiracy theory reasons, because look at the stuff that they do send notifications out for. But very few of you will receive notifications from some sort of platform of us going out. So that's why you take out your phone, you open up your text messages, you text the word canary to 877-740-3226. I'd recommend, even if you're listening to this on the podcast version, you should probably do that. And the fun part is you'll just get a little text from me before we go live, easy peasy. And you can text us back at this number. It's very fun. And keep an ear out for your area code. We got 970 texting in saying, woohoo, fam, yippee. Thank you very much. 970-304 says, one day I'll catch you live. One day, 304. Hope you make it. 321 says, I'm driving, sent from my car. Love it when people's cars text me back. That's great. Oh, another car, 743, texted me. Somebody's car says, I'm driving with focus turned on. This is an automated message, and I'll see your message when I get where I'm going. See, this is the fun. This is the fun, you know? I get to sit here and converse with other people's cars. People's cars text me, and then I read them on the show because it's about noon on a Thursday, which, you know, not a whole lot of people hanging out at a place where they can just sit and fellowship online while they stream or something. A lot of people working. That's good. Good job on your employment and your being a productive member of society. Those of you who are not working right now, good job. You know, protecting yourself from the debilitating and evil effects of the sort of beast system, the worship of mammon, you know. And whether I said something about you or about the other group or vice versa, just know that I'm on your side, okay? Don't take anything too seriously, folks. Here we go. We're having fun. Okay, so I do only have about an hour today because had a dentist appointment this morning. Don't worry, just a regular checkup, but it was too early in the morning. Couldn't make it. I live far out of town. Traffic exists. So thankfully, they let me reschedule for later on in the day, but that means I got to keep this show tight. Got to keep it tight and on schedule. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And everybody laughs because, of course, that never happens, but gonna try. But remember, this is a call-in show. We're doing call-ins. The show is people calling in. I do, of course, have backup. We have things to talk about if nobody wants to call in. So if you are watching this live, you'll see right there in the description down below. Go check it. I think it's below. If you're on a computer, it's going to be down below. I noticed that a lot of people watch on their phones. I don't know what the user interface is like if you're like full screen on your phone, if you can see the description or if you need to go away. I don't know what it works, but if you want to call in, there's a link in the description right now. You just click or copy paste that link, and it'll ask you a question like your name and ask for permission to use your microphone or whatever. And you should do that, give it permission, or else it's not going to work. And it'll put you into the back room of the studio. You'll find yourself back here. You can watch the show, listen to the show. You'll see other people back there. You have like a private chat. It's kind of a good time to just hang out. And today, again, like the past couple of clubhouses, I'm down just whatever you guys got going on, whatever you want to talk through. We're still in this weird time. Emotions are high. Things are strange. Thankfully, our community seems to be the most sane out of the plethora of communities that are active on a regular basis. But I think that sanity comes from the fact that we do stuff like this and we have connection with one another. This is very important. This is fellowship. This is not just some sort of entertainment. This is not just some sort of edutainment, which is now sort of an embarrassing word being used so often. Stuff like that. We are here to actually make real connections as much as we can with one another. 504 texted in, says, greetings, long-time unspecified watcher. Much love. Appreciate you both very much. Louisiana. Oh, this is from August. They texted this. This is weird. Usually it doesn't actually show me previous messages from the person. I don't know. It just doesn't, but it's doing it on this one. So anyways, they wanted to put on a Louisiana meetup. I am not aware of any Louisiana meetup. So hopefully, I don't know. Email me. Let me know. You got to email us, canarycryradio@gmail.com with the details of your meetup. We'll put it out there to the world. But today, 504 says, usually for the past several months, I've listened to you guys while I'm on the road making my deliveries. However, past couple days, I've caught some bug and can barely leave my room. Very blessed to hang out with you guys. Thanks for the show. Thank you very much, 504. God bless you. We're going to, of course, we got to pray for 504. 504's caught some sort of bug. There's bugs out there. I successfully fought off a bug coming off of the Burning Man research project. But of course, because you texted and because we care so much, we're going to play the producer jingle.
Producers, assemble!
That's right. Okay. You got to work praying for 504. Caught a bug. Get up. Stand up, Lazarus. Get on out there. You got things to deliver. But God bless you. Hope you feel better soon. Roy in the chat says, I'll try to call in an hour. Okay. Roy, I don't know if you're being funny or not. I'm not going to be here in an hour, Roy. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Roy. But if you're tempting me to take this show longer than I can and miss my dental appointment, you're doing a good job. Okay. So, of course, if nobody's calling in, if nobody has anything to talk. Oh, here's one thing. Okay. I mentioned it on CCNT yesterday on Wednesday. And look, in my old age here, I'm a little bit more aware. I'm a little bit more careful. I'm a little bit more choosy about when things like this come up, because in my younger days, when I could just podcast willy-nilly whenever I want, any idea that I had, I could just make it happen. And the thing with starting a podcast, and I tell anybody who has questions about starting a podcast, of which I've answered many over the decade and a half of doing this, it's a lot more work than it seems. You might have a fun idea. It's fun for about the first 50 episodes, and then it becomes work. And that's when the rubber meets the road. So I am saying now, with any new podcast idea that I ever have, I am using y'all as my accountability buddy to not make some sort of commitment that I cannot follow through with. And so as far as a regular deployment of a brand new podcast, I can't make any promises. However, I was putzing around on the farm and had an idea, considering this place that we're in, considering the calls that we've made over the past couple of years before it became apparent to anybody in the mainstream or even in the alt community when it comes to the movement of especially young people, but culture as a whole, back towards at least, just speaking axiomatically, at least the respect of Christians' morals and ethics and the requirement of those things to keep society going. And at more than at least, we've been seeing what some are calling a sort of revival. Of course, Charlie Kirk, the Charlie Kirk Memorial kind of was a type of ritual to signal this sort of turning point in the culture, but we've been watching this happen since about 2023. But it's just reaching that critical mass. And with this, we've been seeing a lot of people come to Jesus in all the various types and ways that you could do it, different Christian traditions here, of course, Protestant, evangelicals, Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, whatever. They're all seeing an enormous increase in, I guess some might use the word converts in recent months, years. And again, I've said it on last show, I've said it many times before, as someone who was born to pastors, born into a Christian family, had very, very minor pastor's kid experience of like going crazy and leaving the faith and then hitting rock bottom and then like coming back to Jesus, which is a common sort of pastor's kid life cycle. I didn't get that experience really. And so for me, and I hope everybody hears me right when I say this, because I could see, on the internet, there's lots of people will take things certain ways, any way they want, really. They're the type of person that wants to be mad. They will find a way to be mad at it. But I've always been absolutely blown away by what actually happens. Like, what is the process? How could somebody, out of all the options in the world of seeking some sort of answers or seeking some sort of way of life that works, seeking some sort of peace, whatever, I know that Jesus is the answer, but how in the world do other people even come to that decision? And for those of you who have been around me for a long enough time, of course, I have a show called The Joyspiracy Theory. It's on hiatus since 2019, I think. But The Joyspiracy Theory. So I'm thinking something like The Joyspiracy Theory, where either I sit down for a long form, couple hours, with just any old new Christian who wants to come talk about it, because I have questions. And the hope is that, hey, if I am able to speak any wisdom or give any encouragement to a new Christian, hallelujah, I'm happy to do that. I feel blessed to have that opportunity. But also, I want to learn from these people who are just fresh in the throes of coming to Christ and understand what that's like. And the hope is that A, it'll bless the body, bless me. B, it might be an opportunity for other people who are maybe on the fence. Maybe they are in the process of exploring Jesus or Christianity. Maybe they're, haven't quite taken that step over. Hearing directly from a new Christian, kind of that process and what was the final, straw that broke the camel's back or whatever metaphor you want to use. I think that could be helpful to some people? I don't know. We like to think that, of course, not we like to think, it is true that our elders, our physical elders, our familial elders, our community elders, but also our spiritual elders, which is not always attached to age necessarily, but those who are, more mature in the spirit, more mature in their walk with Jesus, things like this. Those are important things. That is how society works. That is how a community continues. That is how the new, fresh, powerful generations are equipped. And so, I'm sure somebody's doing this out there, but it came to me. So anyways, that's the idea. Of course, with my sort of impulse to just start a project that has no end date and then inevitably just sort of like run out of gas and resources to do it. I'm not going to do that, but I thought maybe Clubhouse is a good opportunity to kind of start doing that. So I just want to put it out there right now. If there's any new Christians, whether it was whatever in the past week or month, or maybe year, like full year, if you're a new Christian within a year, I'm open, new Christian in 2 years. But hey, for me, if you're 2 years in the faith, I wouldn't necessarily call you brand new baby. But for the purposes of this show, I'll let you be the guide. So anyways, that's what we're going to be doing. Sir Darren says, I have CK burnout. Can we move on, or do we want clicks that badly? Did I say something about Charlie Kirk, or is he talking about someone else? I don't know. Yeah, I have no plans to talk about Charlie Kirk. I agree, Sir Darren. Charlie Kirk. We have moved from the phase of the initial processing that needs to be done. We've moved past the phase of the initial reaction and then the reaction to the reaction. And we've sort of moved into the full op territory, full control mechanism. Okay. This is when the conspiracy theories get bigger, broader, deeper, get a little bit more vague. They grow. This is when, and I'm going to characterize this correctly. It's not necessarily that those things are, aren't important or aren't, don't help people process, but I think they do stop people. They can make your emotional and spiritual processing of that situation. It can kind of arrest its development, which means you can get trapped in the conspiracy cycle forever, and you never actually gain the full transformation of going through this process of processing. And yeah, I think that there are powers at work, be they spiritual or establishment or intelligence or whoever they are, who are able to sort of manage this cycle, the conspiracy cycle, whether it's by introducing new little conspiracies at regular intervals, or remember, they can control your entire timeline. So, we like to think that our timeline is like a product of our choices that we've made online, when in reality, at any moment, it could be just directly controlled by someone who wants to lead you down any sort of road. And yeah, getting caught in the conspiracy cycle, especially on something as impactful and hardcore and, what's the word? I don't know, complex and close to us as like a Charlie Kirk assassination or whatever. The powers that be, whoever they are, or whatever they are very good at keeping us from coming through the other side. So I have nothing to say about Charlie Kirk right now. But hey, if you want to call in and you got something to say about Charlie Kirk, I am here to listen. I am whatever. This show is created by all of us. So do not feel that you're in trouble if you call in. You want to talk about Charlie Kirk or Epstein or something. I have no plan of bringing it up. But there we go. So if you're some sort of new Christian, I want to talk to you. And don't worry, right now, for the purposes of this show, we're just going to be talking for like 10 minutes or something. And who knows, maybe if it works, if we have more to talk about, then we can schedule a longer conversation, a couple hours. I don't know, whatever works. All right. We do have a caller in the back room here. This is Sir David G in the house. I'm going to bring him up on stage. We're going to say, what's up? He had his video going for a second. He now does not have it on, and I'm going to trust that that's on purpose. Here we go. Here's Sir David G. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing good. Hanging in there. Sort of trying to not think about going to the dentist later.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on that. Haven't been in a long time.
Yeah. Well, what's on your mind today?
Kind of what Sir Darren was saying. I'm burnt out too, but not just from the Charlie Kirk thing, but everything. That for
Yeah.
me was the final straw that broke the camel's back as far as all that goes.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't listen, and but it's something different about it now. I don't even. It's just in one ear and out the other.
Right.
Whereas before, listening to No Agenda, listening to you guys, I would try, think about a lot of this stuff all the time. But over the past couple weeks, it's just, I just don't have the mental energy anymore to really think about any of it anymore. I still listen to you guys, uh, although not as intently as before. I hate to
Yeah.
admit that to you, but even No Agenda, I catch maybe one show every week and only about a third of it because I just can't anymore with any of this stuff.
Bro, I hear you. I totally hear you. I mean, we're sitting here, we have our own experience of doing the show, and I can tell you, at least this week, it's definitely been harder to do the show for a lot of reasons, not just one reason, like we're tired or whatever. Like, although that's included there, but there definitely is an atmosphere, and there is, the problem is in these cycles, and we've been through many of these cycles, something like a Charlie Kirk, not something as big as that, but we kind of have a feel for this news cycle thing. There comes a time where you either have to dive full on head first, get as deep and crazy and pointed and dig and all this stuff as you possibly can, or you lose people. You lose people, you lose fire. I mean, our numbers, that they're showing exactly what you're feeling, but we also feel it too, and because we're not necessarily like a Candace Owens or a Nick Fuentes, or, we try not to let the clicks and the views, make the decisions for us, because if we wanted to get more attention, what we would do is not go, hey guys, let's seek out what kind of maturity God wants us to process from this, and let's eschew the control mechanisms getting us hyped up and bringing us down rabbit holes. Avoiding rabbit holes is like not a good way to get new followers. You get new followers, or you get more people by going down the rabbit holes. And we're actually seeing this. It's actually kind of a part of the news cycle for guys like ourselves, the alternative independent people, is that we have this whole new batch, of a few dozen content creators or whatever who were about our size, and then fully dove into going like frame by frame on the Charlie Kirk footage and going down the thing and just getting as crazy as we possibly can. And they've now blown up, got the millions of people and stuff like that. And those are the opportunities in this moment if you are like kind of ready to play the game. And Gonz and I, we're both getting a little old here. and I like to think that this is God sort of protecting our peace, protecting our families, protecting our Canary Cry families, protecting God's mission here, that it doesn't get sucked down some crazy spiral. But I totally hear you about the whole news thing. That's partially why my brain was even ready to receive this idea about like just doing a show, even if it's just like a mini series or something, where we just sit down and talk to new Christians. Because I mean, that's really what's going on in the world right now. That's really the world changing, history shifting movement, is not all the rabbit holes on Charlie Kirk, but it's talking to actually these new believers who, finally, by the grace of God, have been brought into the arms of Jesus. And I mean, that's the deal, man. That's where it's at right now.
And ultimately, that's where all these rabbit holes really lead, right?
Totally.
Once you see the conspiracy, then the answer as to why starts to materialize, right? As you start, but once you know the answer, Right? I understand why you guys do it, and I'm not judging anybody else who still does it. But for me personally, I finally had a moment where I asked myself, okay, it's led me to believe in all of these things and to, I would say, know the truth about Jesus.
Yeah.
So what more of a point is there for me,
Yeah.
right? You guys
Right.
are in a different scenario, and I have to say, I think it's a great idea to talk to not just new Christians, but like the whole Joyspiracy theory thing you were doing.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody wants to tell their story. Everybody has a testimony, and everybody wants to tell it. So I feel like it reaches a point to where if the rabbit holes aren't leading you to Jesus, I mean, I don't know what else to do about that. But
Yeah.
that's an avenue too, is talking to people and having them tell their story. Because everybody
Yeah.
has a story to tell. So
Yeah. I think you're right, man. I mean, that's the thing. Of course, I get people asking about Joyspiracy all the time. And, we haven't done some since I think it was 2020. I think I brought Sir Jamie in for a random one in the past couple of years. And even when I think, the great thing about TJT is that the channel never got banned. So I don't think that there's any hidden shadow banning on that channel. So there's a possibility that if we start doing that show again, that it has at least missing the millstone of shadow banning around its neck. So anybody watching this now or listening to this now, just search the Joyspiracy theory on YouTube. Just go follow that channel now, just in case we can figure something out. But no, I mean, I thank you very much for saying what you're saying. Yeah, we just don't know what to do. And I've said it before, it's not just when it comes to the show, and we've been running the same survey for quite some time about the idea of changing the weekly schedule a little bit, still going. If you haven't done it, let us know what you think. But it's like our whole lives, Gonz and I's entire weekly schedule, our entire lives are scheduled around these show times. And so to change a show time or to try to change a day, I just want people to understand that we have to change our entire lives to actually make an adjustment to this, which that's how it is. I mean, that is what working is. That is what having a job is. It's important. If we have to make a change, we have to make a change. But in some ways, the fact it's just the two of us makes us very agile. But the fact that we're getting older and have established sort of lives, and he's got so many kids and we got stuff going on, it is a little bit different from when I was 23 years old, could just do whatever I want at any moment. But to hear you say what you're saying helps give me a little bit of confirmation that at least I'm not crazy having these thoughts here.
no, definitely not. I mean, I have seen quite a few people kind of waking up, because of it.
Yeah.
But I think the rest of us, the charge is to, disciple those people and share our testimony with them, and maybe not so much just continue on down the rabbit hole, but just, just disciple them. Because I feel it personally. That's a big thing lacking in the church today. And that's not a judgment. I'm not against church per se, but it's just one of the things that I've noticed as I go to these different churches to try them out. It's like, there's not a whole lot of discipleship. They have their routine and they're all comfortable with the routine. And as new people come in, it's oh, hey, how you doing? Here's the barrel where the donations go.
Right.
Sign up for the Bible study that's completely inconvenient for you. Just
Right.
stuff like that. And again, it's not a condemnation. I'm not judging them. I'm just saying they're in a routine, and these new people that are waking up because of this, and they go through down those rabbit holes, and they find Jesus in there. That's what they need. They need discipleship.
Yep.
And so I think, kind of that, if that's what you're talking about doing, I think it's a good idea. I've even thought about doing a YouTube thing, but man, when would I have the time?
That's the trick. That's the
You know,
trick.
I
You know.
already don't spend enough time with God and family because of work and whatever else. So,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll end it there.
I
I
think
really
you're
don't
right,
have
man.
much else to say, but
Yeah, no, I appreciate you calling in. I think you're right on the money. And yeah, thank you for calling in. And we'll see it. Like we said, all we want to do is just stay obedient to what God wants for us, wants for the show, wants for the Canarians. And, that's what we're going to do. Thanks for calling in, buddy. Really appreciate it. It's great to talk to you.
you too, man. God bless.
God bless. Take it easy. Yep. What was I going to say? Okay, I see we got Psalm 40 in the back room here. I'm going to jump over, put you on stage in just a moment, Sir Psalm 40, so hang on tight. Remember what I was going to say. There's something we were talking about, the good stuff. Shoot, it'll come to me again. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it'll come. Okay, there we go. We're going to bring up Sir Psalm 40. I had some sort of response to that, but I forgot what it was. It'll come up again. Sir Psalm 40, what's up, buddy? You're on the stage. Thanks for calling in today.
Hey, what's up? How's my audio? I was in the midst of swapping over to headphones, but if I don't need them, then I guess I don't need them.
I can hear you fine. You sound clear. We do have the sort of speakerphone driving background kind of stuff. So
Okay.
if it's easy enough to switch to headphones, then that's great. But if it's too much, I mean, don't make any crazy decisions. You're driving. You take it easy, buddy. We could survive
Well,
just like this.
yeah, I think I'll be able to do it as I'm talking. But one main thing like that kind of came to my mind as I heard you talking to Sir David there. I am blessed enough to have found like an actually decent church, and I understand that that's a hard thing to come by. And one of the big things that they focus on there is like discipleship or like youth, or particularly like a lot of the people that come there are first generation Christians. So
Oh,
like
great.
they don't know what it looks like to worship or to be a Christian, you know? So like it's
Yeah.
kind of like you have those people that grew up in church and they may have their own obstacles throughout their sanctification, but then there's like a whole different ball game for people that have never witnessed Christianity, trying to follow the Lord. So
Right.
yeah, that is a common thing. I think that every handful of years something wild happens, and like it just drives people down these either drives them down a rabbit hole, like a flat earth or a Charlie Kirk, or like
Mhm.
a little season, and they end up finding God that way, or it drives people to their wits end,
Yeah.
to where they may not be into conspiracies, but they realize that they're missing something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
interesting.
I understand that it's happening now because of the Charlie thing, but it's something that has been happening in waves. Like we just not too long ago had that revival at the university in Kentucky or something like that. Like, remember that was a big deal, and then
Mhm.
it just kind of simmered down until the next thing happened.
Right. Yeah. I mean, man, if I couldn't count on the uh, on all my fingers and toes. I know that's not very many, but the amount of people who have sent us notes over the years of like, yeah, the process that Canary Cry, was going through with them at these times was inevitably what sort of played a large part in them coming to Christ. And so, yeah, I gotta that, that's one of the things that's, a little, uh, I don't know, a confusing factor for us when it comes to whether to go down the rabbit holes or not, is because people do, you start questioning reality, you start questioning the government, you start questioning mainstream narratives, you start questioning the story being told to you by, the world. That is the process of coming to Jesus. That inherently comes to spiritual truths that are just unavoidable. But like you say, yeah, it's the process after that this conspiracy has been completed, as if that's even possible. Like any conspiracy kind of like wraps up in a nice little bow. Um, so at least the process of revelation that this world is not what it seems inevitably leads to Christ. And then, yeah, the question is, what happens after that? I mean, it would be silly for us to sort of not remember the ways that God used what we've done over the past 15 years, to bring people to Christ. That would be silly. Um, but the question is now, like, okay, it's a different world, it's a different environment, it's a different internet, it's a different reality. And in a way, there's sort of a different Christianity as the default. And I don't know, I could ramble on about why, pick all the pieces apart as to why I think that is. But you kind of see it blatantly in this current, what they're calling sort of either a Christian or conservative revival, is that it's so tied to politics. It's tied to politics in a way that I've never seen in my lifetime. I mean, it's kind of reminiscent to the 70s. The last time we had a Christian revival like this was in the 70s. During that sort of whole cultural upheaval. And before that, the last time we had a revival like this was in the 20s, the 1920s. So there seems to be about every 50 years this like massive shift where I mean, the 70s, that was Billy Graham. That's like when Billy Graham, and a lot of, especially kids, even young people kind of my age, it can be easy to not understand exactly who Billy Graham was and who he was to a whole generation. But basically, Billy Graham was the guy who just got every boomer saved in the 70s. It's like every boomer got saved because of Billy Graham, and you ask, I don't think I've ever talked to a boomer who didn't get saved at a Billy Graham crusade or something like that. But as we know through, Dr. Future, and now, a real serious look at sort of the creation of the Christian voting bloc, Billy Graham was a big part of sort of this top-down organization of American politics as Christianity representing a certain political standpoint. You can go into the Masons, you can go into what he was buddies with Nixon, like the whole thing. And it is interesting if Charlie Kirk, and again, I don't know a whole ton about Charlie Kirk, but the impression that they're giving us is that he is sort of responsible, not just in his death, but in his life, for a lot of this, both conservative and Christian revivalism going on campuses. It's kind of, I don't know if it's a one-for-one that Charlie Kirk is like a Billy Graham, but it is interesting. You see these patterns repeat themselves, and the big question is, okay, where do we fit in this? What does God want us to do during this kind of thing? Because there are hundreds, dozens or hundreds of younger, louder, more charismatic, more popular, young people who are basically who Gons and I were in 2012. And so, I kind of feel like maybe how Derek Gilbert felt, back in 2012 or something, where moving into sort of a next stage. And when I say that about me and Gons, I mean that with all the people, all the Canarians who've been with us for so long, and experiencing the shift with us. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people because it was probably 2015 ish, 15 or 16 when I'd actually I was familiar with Face Like the Sun before I was familiar with Canary Cry, and I found Canary Cry and still took a few months before I even realized they were all connected.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was in that time where I was like, I've always kind of been a anti-establishment conspiracy theorist kind of person, but I was like very new age, and the I never really like took the time to understand Jesus. I would have agreed that he existed and probably would have just said he was an ascended master type thing, just a yogi,
Right.
normal human being. But but it's strange that like I would take the time to actually like cross-examine Roman history to make sure that what I'm hearing was actually legit, but I never thought to do that for the character of Jesus for some reason. But it really I'm sorry everyone, but it really was the flat earth thing that made me open the Bible and start considering the Bible. And then through all of that is where I ended up finding Canary Cry and the discipleship thing and to what to do with the information after you receive it. That stuff is super important because like even even the demons believe and they tremble. Now that you
Yeah.
have this information and you know the reality of the world that we live in, now what are you going to do with that information? And a lot of people really don't even know what to do. So they
Right.
might just like revert to old habits or some just do what they know, and all that they have known is this fallen world that they have just woken up to. So being able to have mature counselors around you is very important, and it's such a dangerous thing because you're probably your most vulnerable, like when that fire for the Lord is just starting to get kindled and you really don't know anything except wow, God is amazing and real. Like that's a vulnerable place to be right there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's there's a big something for all of us to consider. Again, both all of us in our individual lives, but also all of us in the context of the Canary Cry community and what God has for us in the future here. But we appreciate you calling in, buddy, making your wisdom heard for all of us to rest and understand in, buddy. Appreciate that.
Yeah, anytime. God bless. I hope your dentist visit is peaceful, and I'll
Oh,
talk to you again sometime.
thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate it. Talk to you later. I keep remembering about the dentist appointment. Oh my gosh, let's check the time. 12:43. Got 15 more minutes. 15 more minutes. If there's anybody out there who wants to call in, hang out, chat, doesn't have to talk about what we've already been talking about, could be something entirely different wherever the Lord leads you. With 15 minutes, if somebody doesn't call in soon, it might be an opportunity to at least get the thing, get the beyond the verse out there. Oh, there we go. We got someone calling in. We're going to say hi. Who is this? It's Mr. Roy. Roy in the house. Going to bring you up on the stage. Here we go. What's going on, Roy?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yep. Can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Great.
Thanks for taking my call. Before you go, number one, I believe that we all should get anything like the dentist appointments and stuff like that, health wise, out of the way while we can,
Yep.
because the chaos, the more it picks up and the crazier it gets out there, who knows? We can have another lockdown scenario like we had over the last, 5 years or so until recently.
Yep.
So get it done while you can. And now is, and I'll just be brief about it because I know everybody's burnt out about it now, including my awesome wife. She can't take any more of the Charlie Cook thing. But it, I'm hearing now from Christian sources like Southern Baptists, like real Baptists from like Kentucky and stuff like that, on their channels saying that the ecumenical church is now coming out and claiming that Charlie Kirk was joining them. Like Catholic church leaders and others like that. Even an article coming out saying that they claimed his wife, these what do you call it, divine feminine crowd, saying that his wife is now one of them. She's like the queen of divine feminine. But anyway, that's for that. I am seeing more news picking up. Hey, by the way, I work at a sporting goods store, okay? And my last shift there, I was talking to the firearms department guy, and he asked me about what's going on and everything, and he said we got to talking about AI, right? And he says, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. So I said, you don't have to be a big conspiracy theorist, but you should be one a little. And he said, what about this AI going on? A lot of people are saying that AI is going to be the Antichrist and stuff like that. And I said, you know what? I understand. And I've seen those videos and stuff. I said, if AI can match anything in Revelation regarding anything like that, Basil, I said it would probably be like the image of the beast, maybe, or something like that, because it
Yeah.
causes everybody who doesn't worship is it the first beast? Or correct me if I'm wrong. And then whoever doesn't worship that beast is going to be put to death and things like that. I said, you don't have to be a Bible thumper to read the Bible and know it and study it and stuff like that. And so he agreed. So as we're talking about these biblical things and little conspiracies like that and what if scenarios, up walks this trans person to buy a firearm. And they got to talking a while, and that was my time to leave. My shift was over. But anyway, I see them all, Basil, left, right. They're all gearing up, if you will, just as much as the other guy is here.
Yeah.
And so, and then I see articles that Christians are being attacked all over. There's Christian all over the country and churches especially. And then like YouTube channels, Christian YouTube channels are saying, the Christians are being persecuted in this country now by the far left and just crazy people out there that are even hearing voices and stuff like that. And they'll tell the church leaders, hey, I'm hearing voices saying this and that. So it's out there, Basil. And the only thing I can recommend to all the brethren here is prepare accordingly, if that makes sense. Because I'm talking physically, mentally, and spiritually. Prepare accordingly. And I will say before I leave, and I'll let you get to your dentist appointment, I think all this chaos that's picking up more and more and more, I think it's all leading to some kind of martial law soon, some kind of lockdown, some kind of, the chaos can only get so bad before something like that starts to happen.
Yeah.
Thank
Right.
you, Basil. Thank you for your time, brother. I appreciate it.
You bet it, buddy. Always great to talk to you. Thanks for calling in. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, ain't it? Of a certain someone of a certain persuasion, or maybe myself, even on a different day of the week, depending what I had for breakfast, the martial law thing. One, yeah, even one who has been in I don't know, the community of thinkers for a long time, it's easy to kind of resort to the nothing ever happens kind of mode of thinking, and which is hilarious because we can quantify the number of times that nothing ever hasn't happened, even in just the past 5 years. The nothing ever happens crowd, it has been wrong on so many occasions, but it depends on, what does that mean? If nothing ever happens, yes, there can be an event, but are any changes made, or any big things? But the martial law, I mean, ever since, especially COVID, which you can put there's of course the sort of regular definition of martial law, but you can get pretty dang close to versions of martial law that we saw during COVID, National Guard marching down the street. And the interesting thing, as we've all pointed out and seen recently, is a series of events that now, even those, and I was vulnerable enough to share my own experience with this, even those who are conservatives or on the right, or those who would naturally be on the lookout for things like martial law or the beast system or technocracy or something like that. The events have happened at such a pace and in such an order that even I find myself going, yeah, put the National Guard on the street to stop all that crime. Yeah, do it. Or whatever. I've given the examples before. Um, and I definitely have to go like, oh Lord, repent. Wow, what masters of theater are they? What masters of psyops are at the helm right now, that they can get even the most attentive, the skeptical people to start at least agreeing with the concept of this sort of government crackdown. And of course, it's mainly because it's on who they would perceive as their enemies, or enemies of the state, or something like this. And it's like, Lord, geez, repent. Thank you for letting me see the light and not getting caught up in that sort of thing. But things are getting crazier, and he's not wrong. The left is enjoying the opportunity to make the statements to the right something akin to like, hey, yeah, well, we like guns too. We've been arming up. There's more of us that are enjoying the Second Amendment than you possibly could think. And there's very explicitly, groups. What was that group? It was like armed queers, or queers with guns, or something like that. This was in Utah. There's been a lot of attention to that group, which is, specifically as an organization to encourage and help people in that community to arm themselves. And it's, of course, done through the at least official justification of, hey, we're a oppressed group of people and we're in danger and everybody wants to kill us, which, unfortunately is kind of a scary lie that they're being told on a regular basis. I don't know one single conservative or one single Christian who would even joke about hurting someone because of a choice in their life. Now, you get children involved and things are a little bit different. That can change the calculus. But I don't know a single person who would even jokingly talk about committing violence against anyone, much less someone, who's so afraid that they're going out joining basically a trans NRA or something like that. Then, of course, you have the NRA coming out defending every American's right. wink, every American, no matter who they are, has the right. And then you have Trump coming out with, anyways, you get the picture. This is like actually a pretty big part of what's going on. And, anyone who's really done their homework, anybody who's ever taken classes, anyone who's ever taken training, specifically with firearms, they'll tell you that kind of the number one thing that you will ever learn in some sort of firearms training class, it doesn't matter what it is situational awareness. It's being aware of the situation around you. Not, what do they say? Living in the yellow. If you have your color code of like attention or reaction to what's going on around you, white is like you're asleep, or like you're on the couch watching TV or something, or you're just totally checked out looking at your phone. Yellow is, you're paying attention. Orange is like there's danger all around you and you're taking action. And then there's red or black. Red being, you're in full on emergency mode. Black being, I forget what it was. Shoot, what was black? Black is just like you're panicked, like you're frozen. You're just so panicked, you're so frozen. So they say kind of live in the yellow. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Don't go to the places where danger could be. If you see people who are acting out of the ordinary for that situation, be aware. Get out of there. And this is, this should be all of us on a daily basis, basically. I mean, this is, again, if you're a Second Amendment person or you've taken any sort of training like this is supposed to be your default of just, hey, paying attention to everyone around you. In the train station, is there somebody doing something that is not supposed to be done in the train station? I wish I could remember the official terms for the different behaviors, but if you're standing in line, is there somebody looking weird and being antsy or digging through a bag? If you're walking through a bus station, is there someone who's not waiting in line? Do they not have a backpack? Whatever. Just look for the things out of the ordinary. And the point is, you don't need to take some massive action. You just need to get out of the way. Get out of the situation. Take your family, take whoever's with you, and just simply go. And everybody be on board with, if somebody says, hey, we got to get out of here, then everybody goes, okay, let's get out of here. Not, what? No, show me what, this kind of stuff. So these are good things to go over with your friends or your family or whoever you spend your time with. But there's also the sort of spiritual awareness that we need. And this is what we're so blessed with. Once you live in Christ, you have this sensitivity and this awareness and this ability to sense, the color codes in the spirit. You walk into a place, everything could look totally normal, but if you feel your spirit go up to an orange, or something doesn't feel right, trust that. Man, the amount of times that I've trusted that inexplicable feeling and it turned out to be the right move, and the number of times where I've not trusted that inexplicable sort of spiritual feeling and it turned out to be the wrong move, not paying attention to that. I mean, it's just story after story. We could all, once we've developed, and again, this comes with, if you're a new Christian, you found Christ, you're starting your new life that will go on into eternity. You have this gift, you have this ability, you have this sensitivity, but it must be developed. It must be focused on. It must be sort of nurtured. This comes through discipleship. This comes through, of course, prayer, and it comes through fasting and reading the Bible and all these sorts of things. The more attention we put on our sort of spiritual awareness, and in the times like this, it's not the guns, it's not the extra food, it's not the bug out bag, it's not these things that are going to be the most important for you and your family during these times. It's going to be both that situational awareness and that spiritual awareness. And so I recommend and really encourage everybody to keep this in mind wherever you go, wherever you are, wherever you're going, keep this in mind. And, the Lord and the Holy Spirit will not let you down when it comes to paying attention, because to a degree, there's not much else we can do. We can spend all the money we have and we can get all the toys and prepare as much as we can, as much as we want. But when it comes down to it, when the rubber meets the road, it's really that situational awareness and that spiritual awareness. And that goes for online too. If you find yourself online in a stream, in a conversation, in a thread or whatever, this is one thing that I want to recommend, because a lot of people, they know the spiritual awareness, they know the situational awareness, they practice this when they're out and about, man about town. But online is just as, if not more important, to be situationally aware. Who else is in the chat room? Who else? What are people saying? I mean, even today, we had this same account who was trolling us yesterday. This same trolley account, Lauren, coming in with all these heart emojis and, not really making any good points, just kind of like an AI, let's go troll Republicans or something like that, kind of stuff in the thing. And again, very proud of every Canarian here for not biting on, such a blatant and obvious attempt, because that's what that is, the situational awareness. You see Lauren, you go, okay, what is this? Is this a Fed? Is this, is this just some sort of troll? Is it both? Is it somebody who's trying to create an atmosphere in this chat to give a reason to shut it down or make note of people in the chat? Whatever, this is happening all over the place. And again, you're not just your online situational awareness, but your spiritual awareness will become a very important part of your everyday, not just out in town, but on your phone as well. And that brings us to 1 p.m., folks. That's it. I got to go to the dentist. Woo! Look at us go. So again, big old shout out to everybody who came in, hung out here live with us. Thank you very much. I want to give a big old shout out to all of the podcast listeners too. Thanks for tuning in on the podcast version. And of course, this, we're on the value for value model, which means we can't do what we do here without the participation of real life people who both get value, agree that things like this should not simply be a tool for corporations to purchase the time and attention of people like you to try to activate sort of Bernaysian MK Ultra mind control to make you spend money on things that you don't need, or pepper in some sort of social engineering or ideology that is some part of some bigger plan here. That's why we're demonetized. That's why we don't take sponsorships or any corporate money whatsoever. But if that's something that you think is valuable to you, if you think that's valuable in the world, if you think conversations like this would be, if lacking this would be some sort of negative, please go to canarycry.support. You can support us, become a producer with your time, your talent, your treasure, whatever that means to you. God's given us all different abilities and resources to express value and put value into what we see him doing in the world. I just highly recommend, no matter what it is, the number doesn't matter, none of that matters. It's simply taking the step, becoming a participant and a cooperative with what God's doing. And I promise you, you will not regret it. And he, of course, takes care of his children in every possible way that they need. So if you feel that this is something that you want to put value into in whatever way God has called you to, go to canarycry.support. You can support the show there. Let's see here. Thanks for joining the text message alert system. Of course, one last thing, do it now. I say it at the end because, of course, it's hard at the beginning of the show, but text the word canary to 877-740-3226. Again, just the word canary to 877-740-3226. And you can text us back at that number. like this person 971 who sent a stream of emojis. Thank you very much, emoji 917 or 971. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, we're coming up on September 27th. Okay, September 27th is the Rolla, Missouri. I keep saying Rolla, Missouri, which I know is kind of a caricaturization of how some people like to say it in Missouri. I'm not from Missouri, not trying to culturally appropriate your pronunciations of things. I don't even know if actually what I just said is true, but Rolla, Missouri, September 27th at Alex's Pizza. They're gonna have a meetup, okay? And you should go there because it's very important to connect with other people who understand what's going on in this world. And Lord knows there's not a whole ton that do. So when you find some people who really get it, you got to stick close, hold them close. And you can go find them at Alex's Pizza in Rolla, Missouri, September 27th at 1:11 p.m. And look, that was just enough patter for me to upload the flyer so you can look at the flyer now for the meetup. There you go. Go check it out. Oh, yeah. Sir Ike's going to be there. I think Patrick Holland's going to be there. I think, was it Sir Dove is going to be there? Yeah, I think so. There's going to be a bunch of great Canarians there. So highly recommend if you're within striking distance, you should go do that. Okay. Well, you know what time it is, folks. It's time to feed the ducks. Here it is, Feeding the Ducks, the #1 top smash hit free stock music that comes from the streaming software. We love it. We can't get enough. Oh, gosh, I'm going to lose my voice before the dentist. Excuse me. All right. There you go. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry Clubhouse. Oh, gosh. Wow, they remembered the Tooth Reaper. Oh, thank you. Enjoy visiting the Tooth Reaper. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry Clubhouse. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.